At long last, we've finally made our way to part 2 of my romance reminiscing. I've pulled all of the romance books that I've read over the past 2 years. I did part 1 already because it was just too much to do in one video, but here are the remaining 8 I believe I had. Well, I'm actually missing one because I made the mistake of lending it out to a friend. Never do that. Let me just save you some time and pain. Never lend your books out because you're more than likely not going to get them back. So I have my stack of 7, but really we're going to be talking about 8. Thanks for dropping in on my channel today. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you can stay up to date on bookish content. But let's get into it. Let's start with this one. You have likely not heard of this one. It's called Rules for Dating a Bookshop Owner by S.C. Gray. I actually have no idea how I came across this book, and I wish I didn't. This book is terrible for a lot of reasons. It is your most basic book about a basic character opening up a basic bookshop. Okay, so it follows this girl named Campbell Harrison. She's obsessed with books. Her dream is to open up a bookshop. She meets a guy. She falls in love with the guy. It is just, it's so unoriginal, really, really boring. Honestly, I gave it 1 star. And I was going to be generous and give it 2 stars, honestly, but then I started poking around Goodreads. This is why it's important to do your research before you invest time and money into a book. But this is rated super poorly on Goodreads. I was really turned off by the way that the author argues her reader's review of this book. If you don't give her a positive review, she will actually argue with you, which everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And, you know, I think that she should just take accountability for the fact that this wasn't everybody's favorite romance book. And instead of just leaving it be and taking the feedback, she goes in to argue as to why her book is good. Anyways, that was a super big turnoff for me. I really did not like this one. I do not recommend it. I think it was advertised on Instagram. I came across it somehow. I have no idea, but I ordered it, read it, hated it, 1 star, don't read it. One last comment about this one. I feel like I could complain about this book all day, but the writing is extremely juvenile. There's nothing special about her writing. It is just super, super basic. So once again, I do not recommend. Next, I want to talk about Emily Henry because I love Emily Henry. Her books are just so happy-go-lucky. You're always going to get a happy ending. The love interest is always really cutesy. I loved all 3 of these. And honestly, it's hard to pick a favorite. Book Lovers was the first one that I read of hers. I thought it was just so, so cute. And I consider this one to be my favorite. But honestly, I think about this one a lot more. People We Meet on Vacation. I think about this one all the time. I think that this one just stuck in my head the most. So let's start with this one. So also, I love all of the covers. They're so pretty. They're so bright. They're vibrant. You can't miss it. I've been really excited to read Happy Place. I just haven't bought it yet because I was waiting for it to come out on paperback. I prefer not to read hardcover. They're too large and unwieldy to lug around. So I prefer paper, but this one, People We Meet on Vacation, this follows Poppy and Alex. They are the best of friends. It is the friends to lovers trope. And their banter is just so, so cute. I love these two together. They start out as friends. They end up having a falling out, which that is my one complaint about this book is I didn't love the whole reason for their falling out. But honestly, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. But Alex and Poppy, they're very, very different people, but it's kind of like the opposites attract. They get along extremely well. It's kind of a tradition for them to go on these trips together until they have a falling out. They don't speak for a couple years, but Poppy ends up arranging a final trip for them, and it's her way of trying to fix and repair their friendship. So it's about their final trip. Things just keep going wrong on this trip, and I totally sympathize with her on that because she spends so much time trying to plan the perfect vacation for her and Alex, and things just keep going wrong. Loved it. 5 out of 5. Okay, next we have Book Lovers. This story follows Nora and Charlie. Oh, I really, really love this one. So Nora is a literary agent. She's kind of described as a shark. She's not your cute, cuddly heroine like you would see with Poppy and People We Meet on Vacation. She is definitely a career-driven woman, and she is I guess a shark is the best way to describe her. Now, her and Charlie just keep running into each other and they don't seem to hit it off. Every run-in that they have is typically not very positive, but they keep running into each other because Nora ends up going to this town on a trip with her sister Libby, which that is another thing that I really loved about this book is Nora's relationship with her little sister Libby. And it's kind of like a sister trip. And then there's this romance that happens between Nora and Charlie. And I just really love it. 5 out of 5 stars. I can't say enough good things about Emily Henry. Definitely recommend it. Lastly, we have Beach Read. I also really like this one, though I don't think I liked it as much as her other 2 books. This one follows Augustus and January. These 2 are both writers, but they write about completely different genres. So Augustus is like your literary fiction guy, and then January is your romance chickie. So both of them are polar opposites, and they are living in neighboring beach houses together. They're both suffering from writer's block until they decide that they're going to try writing in each other's genres. So that's where that story kind of kicks it off there. It was cute. I'd say a solid 4 out of 5 stars. Don't have anything bad to say about it. It just wasn't as memorable for me as her other 2 books. All right, this is the one that I don't have. Let's start with the first one. This one is the sequel, or it's part of the Bellinger sister books, I guess. But the first one is called It Happened One Summer, and it's by Tessa Bailey. I liked this one way more than I expected. I read the back of the book. It was actually a book club pick. I don't think I would have picked this book up under any other circumstances, but it was our book club pick of the month. And when I read the back, I thought, oh my gosh, I am not going to enjoy this. It is about a spoiled Hollywood girl named Piper who just lives a very glorified, glamorous, very wealthy life in Hollywood. And she keeps messing up, though. She ends up throwing this big party that ends up going south somehow. And her stepfather, her source of all this wealth, ends up getting fed up with her and sends her to her biological father's hometown, which is someplace in Washington. And Piper and her sister Hannah have a really good relationship. So Hannah ends up going with Piper, and they're going to be running their father's bar. Now, Piper doesn't really know hard work. She knows just a life of glamour and a life of parties, and she's kind of a big influencer. So she kind of doesn't know what to do with herself, but she knows that she needs to fix up this bar. It's still in use, but it's definitely seen better days. So her and Hannah go about fixing it up. She meets this guy named Brennan, who is this bearded fisherman. And there's an obvious attraction between the 2 of them, but they're just 2 very different people that it takes quite a while for that romance to take off. But I really liked it. Definitely contains a lot of spice. And the same can be said for the second one, this hook, line, and sinker. I rated It Happened One Summer 4 out of 5 stars. Actually, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really cute little romance. I really expected nothing out of it. I read the back and thought, absolutely not for me. I'm going to hate this, but I'm going to suck it up and read it. I actually very much enjoyed it. I actually also enjoyed Hook, Line, and Sinker, which follows Piper's sister, Hannah, and his name is Fox, who is actually a really good friend of Brennan's. So it's just kind of like an offshoot story with kind of the same characters involved. But I rated this one a 3 out of 5 stars. I liked it, but not as much. So was it worth the time? Yes. But I don't know if I would necessarily recommend these romance novels. I would definitely recommend Emily Henry over Tessa Bailey, but it's cute, definitely contains a lot of spice. I do remember being really annoyed with Fox a lot of this book because he just didn't really understand his worth. And I don't know what you call that complex, where just like a lack of confidence and just not feeling like he's good enough. And I was like, come on, man, just figure it out. You know you're going to in the end. So anyways, 3 out of 5 stars. All right. In 5 Years by Rebecca Serle. I liked this one. I don't know if I would recommend it, though. It's definitely a heavy-hearted read, and I went into it not really knowing that. But this story follows Danny and also her best friend, Bella. And Danny ends up having a dream that projects her 5 years into the future, where she spends an hour in her future in a different apartment that she doesn't recognize with a guy who she doesn't even know yet. And then once she wakes up, she's really disturbed by this dream. She can't stop thinking about it. And then the story just kind of takes off. It goes through those 5 years to get to that point that she had dreamt about. I guess it's a romance, but I don't even know how to classify this one. This one's very different than anything I have ever read before. Again, Not a super happy-go-lucky read. It has cute moments for sure. Bella, her best friend, is just such a cute character. You'll definitely fall in love with her. But yeah, no, Dani is like a very meticulous character. She has her future planned out. She doesn't really fly by the seat of her pants. That's more so the personality of her best friend, Bella. But for some reason, they really work. If your heart can handle it, I recommend it. Gave it a solid 4 out of 5 stars. I don't feel super inclined to read any more Rebecca Serle, but I don't regret reading this one. Okay, we are at the final book in the list. This is The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. By Erin Sterling. This one I read around Halloween. I know it was October sometime, so it was just very fitting. It felt right. This is definitely a seasonal book. I would not recommend this any other time during the year. For the best experience, you'd want it to be probably fall when you read this book sometime around Halloween. I'll be honest, I don't really remember a whole lot from this book other than I liked it. I think I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Yeah, 3.5 sounds about right. It was cute. It was nothing extraordinary. There's nothing super special about it, but it's a cute October read, definitely. It follows the main character, Vivian, and this guy named Riz. I guess that's a popular name nowadays, but Viv is a witch, and when she's a lot younger, she, not really expecting it to work, puts a curse on Riz, and all these years later it resurfaces, and then they have to go through all these things to figure out how to lift the curse. And yeah, it was good. I think that's all I have to say about it. Since I couldn't remember much about this one, I had to go back to my reading journal and just see what I wrote about it, and I did. I really enjoyed it. I actually said that I really enjoyed the main male character, Riz. Apparently he was very witty, very charming. It was easy to understand that connection that he had with Viv. So yeah, it was really good. I definitely commented that the book was not perfect, but it was enjoyable and entertaining. And honestly, what more can you want from a reading experience? So if you don't keep a book journal, I highly recommend that you do, because it's impossible to keep all those stories up here. So it's always nice to go back and revisit my thoughts on those books. All right, that wraps up part 2 of my romance reminiscing. I would say the best in this pile here is probably People We Meet on Vacation. Close second is going to be Book Lovers. But the worst one, hands down, easy decision, is Rules for Dating a Bookshop Owner. Definitely don't recommend that one. I hate not promoting indie authors just because I do like to support indie authors, but this one was just a serious miss for me. And then just watching the way that the author interacted with her readers was really off-putting, but here we go. I'm excited to read more romance. Probably the next one on my list is going to be an Emily Henry one, probably Happy Place. So I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for sticking with me so far in this video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date on bookish content, and we'll catch you later.